Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I am Ryan, and today I am talking about Ted Bell's Seahawk, the latest in the Alex Hawke novel series. This came out last Tuesday. I'm recording this on a Sunday. I finished it last night. I loved it. I will talk to you more about that. I'll give you a little bit of background into Ted Bell and maybe some disclaimers. This is a Christmassy hat. It's supposed to be elf ears. They're not horns. They're not antlers. They're supposed to be ears, but I also have ears. So who is Ted Bell? Ted Bell is the person who got me into reading. Not back into reading, and it was within the last 15 years. The book that got me into reading was Ted Bell's Pirate. I was on a Coast Guard ship and we were about to pull out in a week or two. I found this book at the checkout line at maybe Walden Books or something like that. I don't remember. And I decided to grab it. And I read it, and I loved it. It was taking place where my ship was patrolling between Cuba and Florida in the Florida Straits. There was Coast Guard in it, which is pretty cool because there's not a whole lot of books that have that. So Ted Bell's Pirate got me into reading. I read all of Ted's books at the time, which was Hawk, Assassin, and Spy, and I've been reading it ever since. Ted also went on the Department of Defense outreach program that I coordinated the Coast Guard's portion of, so I spent a week with Ted. And nicest guy, loves the country, loves the military, is really giving of his time. And it was really great for me to be able to hang out with somebody who I really the work of. I have kind of those personal moments with him on that trip. Ted made me a character in two of his books. I was in Phantom and Patriot by name, which is cool. And then the ship that I was on was featured in the book that was in between those two books called Warriors. So I've always liked Ted's stuff. Ted has this series about Alex Hawke, and he also has two books for the younger readers called Time Pirate and Nick of Time. Nick of Time was the first of the two, and then Time Pirate. And there's a little bit of a crossover. So I've read everything. He also has a short story in a Nelson DeMille book. The latest book is Seahawk, and I'll talk to you about what that is. Now, just to give you a little background on who Alex Hawke is. Alex Hawke is the offspring of an English lord and an American actress. His parents were killed when he was, I believe, 8 years old on their yacht by pirates, drug smugglers, I think, or drug pirates, related to drug trafficking in some way. And he witnessed it. He grew up in England under the protection of his grandfather, who was a lord, and their butler, Pelham, and the chief inspector of Scotland Yard, Ambrose Congreve, who is his friend. He works for MI6. He has a lot of contact with the CIA and the director of the CIA named Brick Kelly, and MI6's director, David Truelove, Sir Truelove. And then he also has a best friend, Stokely Jones, who played for the Giants, the New York Giants, and was a New York City Police Department detective. He's a giant of a man. Alex is very rich, and he has commissioned a ship to be built that is 200 feet long. It's being built in the Netherlands. It actually reminds me a little bit of the ship from Phantom. It was called, I think it was called Black Hawk. This one's called Seahawk, and it's armored. It has advanced weapon systems. It has a green laser weapon that was designed by Elon Musk on the bow. And he wants to take more time to spend with his son, Alexei. Alexei was the child of Alex and a woman named Anastasia, who lives, she's kind of under house arrest in Siberia. She's a Russian national. But they fell in love, had a child, and Alex Hawke has been protecting Alexei. At this point, there's a movement within a number of the communist countries and dictatorships around the world to kind of come together, create an alliance that will challenge the United States. It mainly involves Cuba, China, Russia, and to a lesser extent, North Korea and Iran. Alex Hawke has had run-ins with Putin before, and Putin has basically put a hit out on him by a guy named Smith. He's an assassin. This assassin killed the Scotland Yard protective detail that was watching out for his son, Alexei, and tried to kidnap his son. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Alex wants to spend more time with his son. He wants to help his son become a man. He wants to teach him how to be a good person. And he wants to do that on board Seahawk. They want to just have this trip around the world where he can really show him what it is to be a Hawk. He is also, because his ship is battle hardened and a weapon, he's going to be working on the side for MI6, trying to figure out where this group of, I don't know, we call them the Axis of Evil, where they're having their plans and what they're doing. On his trip around the world as a businessman, he's also going to be getting intelligence and doing some killing. It starts out with a meeting some of these meetings are being held at locations called Dragonfire clubs. Basically, they're run by the Tang brothers from China, the Tang twins. They're big in organized crime, but they also have the backing of the Chinese government. The first group that Alex comes up against is in Cuba, and essentially there's going to be a coup in Cuba with a third Castro brother who has been hiding in Argentina for the last 20, 30 years. So he's returned, General Castro, and they're going to lead a group of rebels. Some of them are ISIS, some of them are maybe Hezbollah, and a number of poor Cubans, and they're going to attack the island of Cuba and overthrow the government. The president of Cuba is assassinated at an event for children, and they start this process. Alex Hawke intervenes on the Seahawk with his buddy Stokely Jones. He also has a team called Thunder and Lightning. He got them to come up from Costa Rica to help out with their kind of commando team. They battle it out. This green laser is cutting edge. There's a big fight. He kills some people, including his most hated enemy at the time, and then continues on. The trip is really supposed to go around the world, and it starts at Bermuda, goes down to Cuba, it's going to go to South America, Brazil, and then Antarctica, through Asia, and then see what happens. This book really covers the action off of Cuba, and it covers the action in the Amazon. He goes up the Amazon River in Brazil and confronts one of the Tang twin resorts, the Dragonfire Club of the Amazon. It was a very cool scene. So it leaves us with expectations that in the future they're going to go to Antarctica. It hasn't thawed out, and there's storms in the South Seas. They're going to go back to Bermuda. I think there's some foreshadowing that they're going to go back to maybe the next book is going to be in Antarctica. I don't know. For me, it was a lot of fun because I've read all of the other books, and it's been a year or two. I think it's been a year since the last Alex Hawke book came out. So it was like seeing an old friend again. It's a lot of the same characters, doing a lot of the killing that you want to see, that you expect from an Alex Hawke novel. But it's just cool to see them again after a year or two away. It really is, I think, fun just to see how it's developed. It's a spy thriller, suspense. It's violent. It's funny. It's cool. It probably feels very like 007 James Bond-ish, and it's action-packed. So if you haven't read Ted Bell, I totally recommend him. You can read any of his books on their own, but they do refer back to past events. You're not going to be completely lost not knowing those past events, but if you read them in order, you will get more of the references to past things that have happened in earlier books. I read the first 4 out of order. I read the 3rd book and then the 4th book, and then I went back to the 1st and the 2nd book. And since then, I've read all the rest in order. I've really enjoyed the trip and hanging out with Alex Hawke again, and you should too. So check it out. Ted Bell. It starts with Hawke. Let's see if I can do all the books in order. Hawke, assassin, pirate, spy, czar, warlord, phantom, warriors, overkill, Dragonfire, and now Seahawk. The other 2 books that he has for the younger audience, typically, although you can read it and you'll enjoy it, are Nick of Time and Time Pirate. So check them out. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought something was going on during this book, and I don't know if I realized it too late or if it wasn't actually happening. And I just kind of made it up, but I thought that Ted was inserting all of the other titles for his books in this book because I found a number of them. By the time I picked up on it, if it was actually happening, there were a couple I hadn't noticed. But I don't know if they came up earlier before I had realized it, or if maybe he wasn't doing that and I just picked up on something that wasn't intentional. Check it out. Ted Bell. Seahawk. Very cool. There's the Seahawk there. That's probably Alex Hawke. And that's his gun. I think you'll enjoy it. Thanks for being here today. And thank you to Ted Bell for getting me into reading over a decade ago when I was further along in life than a lot of readers. This really opened my eyes to reading and set up all the rest of this. And just enjoying reading and learning in general through books. So thank you for that, Ted, but also thank you for your latest book. Thanks. Bye.